fall is coming to Fort Collins, Colorado.
You can scream and shout with all your might.
That's a good thing because that means I'm less inclined to spend time outside.
Dig in your heels and hold on tight.
And more inclined to spend time here recording Stating the Obvious.
Either you are wrong or I am right.
Do not forget the third ever-present possibility. You are wrong, and I am right. The crowd goes wild, the way they always do. You know, it's so great being me. I'm sure most of you out there are sitting there right now wishing, God, I wish I could be as perfect as Skippy is. But you can't. Because if you were as perfect as me, you would be a god. Only I am a living god. Hey, why not? If Rush Limbaugh can claim that he has talent alone from God, I can certainly claim that I am a god. I mean, especially compared to the stupid people. Greetings. I am, of course, Skippy. This is Stating the Obvious, brought to you by the Cynical Libertarian Society. In the control room on the other side of the glass is the lovely and adorable Randy. Today is... What is today's date? I don't even know. It's Sunday, isn't it? I am so confused. Yeah. Some people out there are saying, yeah, Skippy, you're always confused. You're an idiot. Today is the 9th of October. Oh, tomorrow is Columbus Day observed. All the little wacko protesters will be out crying about how Columbus destroyed the indigenous people. Oh, wow. Yes, Columbus himself personally killed all the indigenous people. Because Columbus also was a god. It's amazing how much power white men have. Because everything is the white man's fault. It's amazing how powerful we are. And yet we still have to pay taxes, we still get speeding tickets, we still have to put up with women's whining all the time. Yet we're these omnipotent gods who have caused all these things to happen throughout history. You know, white men personally enslaved all the black people, white men destroyed the economy, white men destroyed all the indigenous people, white men polluted the earth, white men did all these things, yet, you know, as a white man, all I want is another beer, a cigar, and some pussy. I can't get any of that. Well, I could get another beer, but I'd have to leave the studio. This Newcastle I'm drinking is almost gone. I could get a cigar if I went to the store, but I don't feel like leaving the house again. And I could get some pussy if I was rich and good looking, but since I'm neither one of those, it looks like I'll be whacking off later. Was that too much information, Randy? Randy says that was too much information. Something serious, but yeah. If us white men are so powerful, why'd I have to struggle so hard to get laid? Oh, yes. How's the balancing? Okay. Also, let me take a moment to apologize for the sound quality of the Stating the Obvious I recorded in response to Paul Ehrlich's book. I have no clue what happened there. We didn't know about the problem until everything was said and done. We did the playback, and there were these random dropouts. I can only assume the computer was somehow overloaded, running some other program. We did some tests before recording this one, so hopefully everything is in the clear. Word Churchill. You know, I was going to read this Word Churchill article and comment on this. Let's cut straight to the chase on the whole Word Churchill thing. I don't even know where this is today. But you know what's truly sad about this? You know what's, in the end, the truly saddest part of the whole Word Churchill thing is that anybody gives a fuck. I mean, look, and I know I've said all this before, but I'm going to say it one more time, and I am never going to talk about Word Churchill again. The man is a liberal. He's a college professor. Oh my God, what a shock and surprise. A liberal college professor. Imagine that. Second of all, the man has an opinion. Oh my God, he has an opinion. Well, let's fucking kill him. I mean, how dare he have an opinion? Everybody has an opinion. Third of all, he published his opinion, and he sounds like a jackass. You know what? The planet Earth is covered in people who sound like jackasses. Turn on the television news. You can see jackass after jackass paraded. But there's nothing morally wrong. I was about to say there's nothing illegal. I'm not sure, because there are new illegal things every single day thanks to our government. There's nothing morally wrong with being a jackass. If Ward Churchill wants to say and write the things he says and writes, I don't see a problem with that. Now, I do see a problem with Ward Churchill lying about his actions in Vietnam, and I have a problem with Ward Churchill lying about being an Indian to get in as a university professor under the quota system, and I do have a problem with the quota system. But when it comes down to Ward Churchill having a, depending on your point of view, a stupid opinion, you know, everybody has stupid opinions, except me, of course, because I am always right. I have always been right. I am right, and I will always be right, and if you disagree with me, you are wrong and stupid, and you know that because I've told you this before. But to start all this shit over Churchill simply because of some opinion that he had and that he wrote on a piece of paper just shows how incredibly and amazingly stupid, yes, I used the S word, for those of you who are new to stating the obvious and are already going, what the fuck? I will use the word stupid when referring to you quite often. The fact that we made such a big deal out of Ward Churchill writing something on a piece of paper, which was his opinion, illustrates how incredibly stupid the population of this country is. This is great. Here, I begin flipping through my pile of notes here. The first thing I stumble across. For those of you joining me, for whom this may be your first listen, hold on. Beer. I highly recommend Newcastle Brown Ale. I am in the middle of catching up because it's been a long time since I recorded Stating the Obvious because it was summer. And unlike many of you losers out there who consider yourselves political activists who do things like blogging and emailing all your friends about what a racist George Bush is, see, I have a life. And I have these things called friends, and I don't mean people I know on the internet. I mean like real living people with bodies, and you do things together and stuff. So I spent most of the summer outside doing things with friends and having a life and reading books and educating myself instead of sitting in front of my computer and writing in my blog about what an evil racist George Bush is. Now that it's getting to be winter and it's cold outside here in Colorado, and I don't want to go outside in the cold, at least not that much. I will have more time to be doing this. I am getting caught up. Free bar tab. Sweet. I'm getting caught. I'm also getting easily distracted. That's Randy's job, is to keep me from... Yeah, she's right now telling me get back on the subject. I've got a lot of old stuff to cover here, and I'm trying to get on it. This is hilarious. Because this illustrates, yet again, I spend so much time illustrating liberal hypocrisy. Oh, that was a lot of feedback. That was a lot of feedback, too. I know, I have to laugh. How's this? That's a little better. Okay. Sorry, folks. It's been a while since we've recorded, and so Randy and I are sorting out the technical issues sort of on the fly here as it goes. This is a letter. I'm going through some old things from the Rocky Mountain Bullhorn, a free liberal, even though they don't think they're liberal, publication put out here in Fort Collins. There was a movie review written by Lewis Fowler in the Rocky Mountain Bullhorn. An individual named Nick Flora from Fort Collins wrote in a letter about this movie review. This is Nick's letter. No, and this is the bad thing about quoting. Alright, Nick's letter begins with a quote from Lewis Fowler's movie review. The review is... The review... Quick, Randy, I need another beer. The quote is as follows. No matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat, a white man is still a white man, and to most white men, no matter how liberal they appear, to them, a dead non-white is merely a speed bump on the road to achieving a larger goal. Unquote. This is from the Hotel Rwanda movie review. Nick's letter then continues. I am a white man, and I take extreme offense to this statement. How can you talk about the wrongdoings of isolated individuals and then classify an entire race upon those standards? Talk about racist. It's completely ludicrous. I'm neither a Republican nor a Democrat, so under your idea, I condone the slaughter of innocent people to move towards our greater capitalist society while eating a McDonald's hamburger driving down I-25 in a big-ass monster truck. You couldn't be more wrong, sir. I read your reviews almost weekly, and I used to enjoy them. Until this week. I love reading the independent press because the articles are unlike any other papers and more tuned to my interest, but trash like this has no place in our society at all. How can we as humans move forward when institutions such as yours allow such false and outrageous things to be printed? I'm certainly not denying the fact that there are white men doing evil things because, let's face it, we started it. At the same time, what race cannot claim the same in some way? And should we judge each individual person on what those few did? No. When you speak of racist, Lewis, take a good look at yourself. Now, before I read Lewis Fowler's response, I want you to ask yourself, did anything in that letter sound hateful, racist, fanatical, or anything else? Not to me. This sounded quite logical and intelligent. But now, let's listen to Lewis's response. Thank you for your interest in my Hotel Rwanda review. Thanks for being a super fan of my reviews. Also, I'd like to thank you for titling your email, You Can Kiss This White Man's Ass. With that one subject heading, you pretty much proved everything I said about the elitist, pseudo-liberal white attitude, especially when confronted with their own inherent racism. Now remember, this is a liberal. This is somebody who says you can't stereotype people, yet he's already stereotyped all white people as being pseudo-liberal racist. Because you see, it's wrong to hate other people, unless you're hating white men, because hating white men is okay, because see, white men are less human than others. I continue with this little pussy's letter, or response. You have no way to deal with it, so instead you lash out by calling me a minority a racist. Right, see, when Lewis calls white people racist, it's okay. But when somebody calls Lewis a racist for calling all white people racist, and thus making a judgment about all white people, or all white men, rather, based on their skin color and their gender, see, that's not racist. Because, see, it's okay to call white men racist, and it's okay to hate white men. It's only wrong to call other people racist. Because, see, when you're a minority, you can't possibly be a racist. This is liberal logic. And for the millionth time, this is why I cannot help but hate liberals so much more than I hate anybody else. You bring me the most weird, blue-haired, old lady, Catholic, conservative, religious, dumb bitch who thinks the Bible should be literally interpreted and that sperm cells are sacred, and I still couldn't possibly hate her as much as I hate any fucking liberal on this planet. I'm surprised you didn't end it with, and the South's going to rise again. See, here we have another stereotype. All Southerners are racist. See, we can't say all black people play basketball. We can't say all Korean people have slanted eyes. We can't say all retarded people drool. But it's okay to say that all Southerners are racist. I continue with Lewis Fowler's response. So you don't want trash like my review published. I can see why. It's an ethnic voice that you'd rather have silenced because it doesn't fit into your nice little global village ethic. You can't stomach the fact that there are actually pissed off minorities out there. Sure, in front of all your ethnic friends you act nice, but behind closed doors you fear that they may take your job and knock up your daughter. So how about this? Much like TV shows you don't like, if you see my name, skip it. Save your email writing time to pen a letter bragging about how you told a spick to kiss your white ass. I'm scanning. It says that's the end. So here Lewis says, sure, in front of all your ethnic friends you act nice. First of all, Nick is from Fort Collins. Fort Collins, according to the latest population figures I've seen, is 89.6% white people. If you live in Fort Collins, you probably don't have any ethnic friends. Ethnic friends. Ethnic friends. That's hilarious. If you live in Fort Collins, you probably don't have any ethnic friends because there's nothing here but fucking white people. As I have said before, as I will say now, and as I'll say in the future, Of all the places I've lived in my life, this is the most fucking cracker, white bread fucking town I've ever been in, and that's why people here try so damn hard to pretend they're multicultural and diverse, because they're trying to compensate for the incredible number of white people here, not to mention their very small penises. Now, I do agree with Lewis Fowler on his point that if you don't like his reviews, you should just shut the fuck up and not read them. So I do have something in common with this guy. Other than that, he's a complete fucking idiot. Alright, try that. Is that... Yeah, that might be somewhat better. We're still getting a lot of interference in the sound quality there. But we like CDs. Ah, yes. A while back in Fort Collins, we had an election in which there was an attempt to revoke the grocery tax. I'm scanning this letter. I want to see if I actually want to waste my time reading this, or if I just want to discuss the fact that this is typical. If I want to discuss the hypocrisy involved here in the Democrats accusing the Republicans of using scare tactics to manipulate people, that is to say, the scare tactics of, oh, the terrorists are going to get us, therefore you must give up your freedoms. Which, of course, is a valid observation from the liberals, except, of course, that the liberals do the exact same thing. Here's an example of the scare tactic in this letter. Essentially, they claim that the grocery tax amounts to approximately $30 a year per person, and the scare tactics involved were all these people running around saying that if the grocery tax was cut, the library was going to be shut down, and the government wasn't going to be able to do all these things it does and everything else. And all of these things are clearly not true. I would challenge somebody to come up with an example of a time that a tax cut has actually resulted in any government department or function being shut down, scaled back, or anything else. I don't think this is going to happen. The government always manages to find money, because governments borrow money, governments raise other taxes, governments raise user fees, whatever. Contrary to this bizarre belief that some people have, both Republicans and Democrats, government does not shrink. I mean, look how many people who are Republicans think that Ronald Reagan scaled back the federal government. In fact, this is nowhere near true. As much as I like Ronald Reagan for some of the things he did, and as much as I despise Ronald Reagan for some of the things he did, the truth is, under Ronald Reagan, government spending skyrocketed, number of government employees went up, number of government regulations went up, all these other things. Government does not ever scale itself back. I'm looking at this article thinking, if I want to save this, go hand in hand with another piece of crap that's coming up. This is funny. 6 classrooms at Bolts Junior High School were evacuated after Principal Mike Waltz learned that students had brought mercury from a thermometer to school. Now, granted, mercury is a quote-unquote hazardous substance, okay? But let's talk about overreacting. Listen to this. A CSU hazardous materials team detected mercury in only 3 classrooms, but at levels too low to cause harm unless they were lying on the ground with their face against the carpet. Still, Waltz had the carpet and tiles removed where contamination was found. I mean, look, man, I understand mercury is a hazardous substance, but if some students bring some mercury to school, you just take it away from them. Put it in a plastic bag, throw it in the trash, it goes to the garbage dump. It's never going to go near anybody. But no, they call in the hazmat team. When I was a kid, we played with mercury all the time. It didn't hurt me. I turned out perfectly normal. Some of you out there are saying, no, don't try to use the mercury poisoning as an excuse. You're still an idiot. I don't even know how to say this person's name. Shalithus. Who is this Shalithus person? House bill. Some idiot All you need to know is there's some idiot in Congress. Schlesius wants to require abortion clinics to be licensed, and more importantly, face civil or criminal penalties if they step out of line. The first page of Schlesius' bill is loaded with moral grandstanding, referring to abortion as a procedure, quote, some deem nothing short of an act of violence against innocent human life, unquote, before he winds his way around to the true objective, establishing, quote, policies and procedures for conducting pre-licensure and re-licensure inspection of abortion clinics, unquote, including forcing them to report monthly on the number and type of abortions they perform. Brophy's Unborn Child Pain Awareness Act would require an abortion provider to inform any woman more than 20 weeks along of the substantial evidence that her fetus will feel pain and give her the option of administering pain-reducing drugs to the unborn child. While on one hand government regulation of abortion is wrong on a number of levels, I don't really see a problem with well, do I or don't I? Here's the problem. Should abortion clinics be forced to report the number of abortions and the time and term of those abortions? On one hand, I'm inclined to say no because of this thing called freedom. But then, whenever it comes to abortion, this is I always come back to this whenever I'm discussing abortion in just about any context. When we come back to abortion, if abortion is such a wonderful thing, and it's a right that all women have, and it's such a wonderful and beautiful thing, and it doesn't really hurt anybody, why are people in favor of abortion so damn terrified of talking about how many abortions happen? I've never been able to figure that one out. I mean, serious, that's all you... Oh, it's a wonderful thing, it's a woman's right, it doesn't actually hurt, it's perfectly safe, blah, 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 on and on and on. So then, why is it so damn terrible to simply keep records of how many abortions occur, and how far along in the pregnancy those abortions occur at? When confronted with this irrational fear on the part of the militant baby killers, I can only assume they're trying to hide something. For the record, for those of you new to the show, I am not in favor of the federal government making laws opposing abortion, nor am I in favor of the federal government making laws in favor of abortion. I'm not in favor of the federal government doing anything about abortion because abortion is not in the Constitution. Nor do I believe that abortion should be made illegal, because, as I have said a million times before, and I'm about to say again, making things illegal doesn't stop people from doing them. If you make abortion illegal, there's still going to be abortions. You're not going to accomplish a fucking thing. If your goal is to eliminate or even reduce the number of abortions, making abortion illegal isn't going to fucking accomplish that, and if you think it is, you're just a goddamn stupid motherfucker. If you truly want to reduce the number of abortions, you simply need to persuade people not to have abortions, and you need to provide them reasonable, practical, accessible alternatives. Making abortion illegal doesn't solve a fucking thing. If you think it does, you're an idiot. And on the other hand, if you are a militant baby killer and you believe abortion is so goddamn wonderful, I can't understand why you're so terrified of putting the statistics out there, because the statistics might in fact work to your favor. Let's say that over time, in a society with complete free and open access to abortion, let's say over time, the number of abortions went down as a percentage of the population, or even as a real number, whatever. I mean, this gives you ammunition to go to the every sperm is sacred crowd and say, look, what the fuck are you bitching about? The number of abortions is going down. We're making progress in the direction you want to go. Why don't you just sit down and shut the fuck up, and let's work on this. But apparently, if you're a militant baby killer, you're too stupid to figure things like this out. Yeah, I still haven't decided if I want to go into this yet. I think I'm going to set this one aside. We'll cover this later, because this will tie in with something else. Let's flip into the next. What is this? This is great. Right now we have a debate going on here in Fort Collins about dogs. We have a leash law. Apparently a lot of filthy little nasty hippie liberals think that because their dogs are friendly and because they're liberals that somehow they're special and they shouldn't have to abide by the leash law. This has nothing to do with the leash law, but it does have to do with dogs. The bullhorn, this little man on the street, or I'm sorry, the person on the street, man on the street is racist. I mean sexist. Racist. It's all the same. When you're a white man like me and you control the world, and you've personally destroyed entire indigenous populations, and you've enslaved all the black people, and you control the economy, you get really confused about things like racism versus sexism. Because, God, when you're a white man, you're just so omnipotent. And sometimes it's hard to remember everything. I wish we were all knowing, long to go along with that being all-powerful. The bullhorn asked their little question of the the person on the street. How many dogs do you think there are in Fort Collins? Are there too many? Have you noticed behavioral problems with dogs or their owners? I've noticed some problems with their owners. This person from Portland, Oregon says, I don't understand why environmentalists want to own dogs. Inbreeding and use of resources are issues. And where does the dog food come from? What personal insecurities do people have that lead to pet ownership? This is great! This is great! I love it! It's true! Think about it. Think about this. Think about this. If you're a fucking tree-hugging, animal rights wacko environmentalist, and you own a fucking dog, and you're feeding the goddamn dog, you're feeding the dog meat. That's what dog food is. It's meat. Where the fuck do you think that meat came from? It came from a goddamn animal. What happened to animal rights? And it's true, I recently learned some things about dog breeding that I did not need to know. Apparently there are some species of a lot of dogs, apparently these, what's the word I'm looking for, Randy? Thoroughbreds, thank you. The thoroughbred dogs, a lot of these dogs are incredibly inbred, and that's how they get these traits they're looking for. And apparently there are some breeds of dogs in which they actually have to be assisted with sex because they're so inbred that, no, I'm serious. I haven't actually seen this with my own eyes, but I've heard this from now 2 different sources, one of whom read a book about dog breeding, and the other one who claims to have actually seen this with their own eyes. So I'm willing to believe this at the moment. They tell me that there are some dog breeds out there where human beings actually have to pick the male dog up, put it over the female dog, and help it to insert its penis into the female's vagina, and then move it back and forth until it ejaculates. Now, where the fuck are the animal rights wackos on this? Where the fuck are the tree huggers on this? Especially here in Fort Collins, let me tell you. I'm about to engage in the evil white man practice of stereotyping, but here in Fort Collins we have a lot of granola chicks. They don't shave their legs, they don't shave their armpits. They're tree-hugging wackos, they're environmentalists, they're animal rights wackos, and they have these ugly, smelly fucking dogs. And think about it. What this man says makes sense. Your dog's got to eat something. It's eating dog food. Dog food's made out of other animals. I thought you are a fucking animal rights wacko. What about overpopulation? All these dogs, they shit, they use water. Actually, nobody cleans their dogs. That's why the dogs stink. The dogs shit. That contributes to global warming. They fart. That contributes to global... I mean, if you're a fucking environmentalist animal rights wacko, how can you... And the thing about insecurity, don't even get me started. I definitely have my theories about women who own dogs. And I could go on for a long time on this one. Let me put it in a nutshell. The reason women own dogs is because they can't get a man. And a dog is just like a man. A dog is like a typical man in that dogs are stupid. Dogs are kind of sloppy. Dogs just shit all over the place. They smell bad. They're not very smart. They drool all over the place. They constantly need attention, just like a typical boyfriend. And women who have dogs are usually women who, for whatever reason, cannot get and keep a man. That's why whenever Skip Dog is checking out women, one of the first things he tries to find out is, does she have a dog? Because any chick who has a dog is automatically disqualified. You know what? I'm gonna put that one aside, because that quote from this gentleman from Portland, Oregon, is going to end up on the website. That's just beautiful. I love it. What is this? Oh my God. Here's somebody whining about how Colorado ranks 43rd in the nation when it comes to donating dollars for charity. You know, maybe the reason Colorado ranks 43rd when it comes to donating dollars for charity is because, speaking as somebody who has lived in Colorado for 7 years now, something like that, I can tell you for a fact that Colorado has no fucking economy. And when you don't got no economy, you ain't got no money. When you ain't got no money, you can't donate to charity. There's a real good reason why people from Colorado are not donating to charity. It's because we ain't got nothing. I've been trying to find another job for 3 years. I got nothing. And it's not because I'm an asshole either. Who is this? Oh, this is a Ward Churchill article, and I said I was never going to talk about Ward Churchill again. Now, see, this is the point. Do I stick to my guns, or do I make a liar out of myself? Nope, I see. I've already covered all this, so I can skip that. Randy's saying I could get around it by talking about what I didn't talk about. Well, yeah, I could, but I'm not going to do that. Oh, talk about stupidity. Oh, what is this? 6 state offender policies. Do I really want to talk about? Oh, this is retarded. I may have to talk about that one. Many CSU students spent today in silence protesting the global gag rule, which the Bush administration enacted to prevent overseas health clinics that receive U.S. funding from performing or mentioning abortion. A dollar drop could cause such facilities, many of which provide health and perinatal services in economically ravaged parts of the world, to shutter. There are so many levels to this one. Number one, if you really think that you spending a day not talking is going to influence what the government does, you're an idiot. Now, the best thing about this is that an entire bunch of filthy, stinky little liberal tree-hugging hippies here in Fort Collins spend a day not talking. And any time you can get a tree-hugging hippie to shut the fuck up, that's a beautiful moment. It's a beautiful, beautiful moment. Almost as good as being able to get a fucking Christian to shut up. So that's a good thing. But the problem with these people is they actually believe, I guarantee if you went to one of these people and you talked to them, they actually, honestly, in their sad little pathetic, misguided hearts, believed that spending a day not talking somehow made a difference. It raised awareness. They've done something to change the world. Oh, they're such good people. And of course, as we all know, because I've said this over and over again, and holy shit, I'm about to say it again, liberalism is all about feeling good. It's not about doing anything to actually change the world. It's not about doing anything to make the world a better place. As I've said, if everybody who claims to care about homeless people took a homeless person home with them and helped that person get back and get a job and get a shower and get new clothes and everything else, there'd be no fucking homeless people. Liberalism is not about solving problems. Liberalism is about feeling good about yourself. And you feel good about yourself by doing things like spending an entire day not talking in order to protest the actions of the evil Bush administration. On the other hand, we have this problem. Where exactly in the Constitution of the United States does it authorize the federal government to use money taken from the citizens in the form of taxes to finance health clinics in other countries? Why in the fuck are we doing this? somebody explain this to me. Why is the federal government performing this function? Indecent exposure. Douglas U. Chadwick did the unthinkable. I'm reading from this article for those of you who aren't smart enough to figure that out. The 45-year-old father, after a night of drinking, got in bed with his 15-year-old daughter at his Colorado Springs home and sexually assaulted her. He was arrested, found guilty, and spent 5 years in prison. Derek Meganson, 19, did something stupid during a verbal confrontation with 3 women acquaintances. Meganson, fully clothed, grabbed his crotch and said something crude. One of the women called the police, and Meganson was booked for public indecency. Meganson and Chadwick share a common bond. They are convicted sex offenders. Now let's think about this. We live in a world, and the article goes on at length, and the point of all of this is... No, wait, is this? Yep. Oh, alright, that's hilarious. I'll read that in a minute. Okay. The point of this article is that Meganson, who grabbed his crotch and probably said something like, suck my dick, or lick these nuts, or fuck you, is actually considered by our legal system, remember, a legal system which is supported and propped up by Republicans and Democrats alike. He is considered by our legal system in the same class as a 45-year-old man who fucked his 15-year-old daughter. I could go on, but if I have to explain to you what is wrong with that, if I have to tell you in detail what is wrong with equating a 19-year-old who, while wearing his clothes, grabbed his dick and said something indecent to a 45-year-old man who fucks his 15-year-old daughter, if I have to explain that to you, you are too fucking stupid to listen to me, and you need to stop listening right now and go surf the internet for pornography, or go fuck your dog in the ass, or whatever it is some idiot like you does with your sad little pathetic life. Next paragraph from this article. Sex offenders cannot be employed anywhere where children might go, including McDonald's. Although not being able to be employed at McDonald's, I can't see that as a bad thing. But, alright, listen. Sex offenders cannot be employed anywhere where children might go, including McDonald's. They must agree to avert their eyes from children, even if their offense did not involve a child. So first of all, you can't go any place where children might go. And where exactly in our society are children not allowed to go? Other than sex toy stores, porn stores, and strip clubs, where exactly do children not go? Second of all, they have to agree to avert their eyes from children? Alright, how do you enforce that? You are a member of whatever fascist government regulatory agency enforces this concept. How do you know if somebody who is a sex offender failed to avert their eyes from a child? And what do you do if they didn't? How do you enforce this? What is this nonsense? And for those of you out there who are stupid, I know I have to explain this. I'm not in favor of 45-year-old men fucking their 15-year-old daughter. I'm asking a pragmatic, practical question here. How in the fuck do you enforce a person not looking at children? As a government agency, as a society, how do we enforce that? I don't know either. Randy's answering my question. She says she doesn't. I don't know either. Couple more paragraphs here. This is some sad. How much time do we have left? Okay, I can get it in that time, no problem. I'm preparing myself because I may fly off the handle on this one. Additionally, male offenders must submit when asked to a machine called the, and I know I can't pronounce this correctly probably, plethysmograph. We're going to call it the PM because I can't say that word. The controversial device measures physical sexual arousal to non-pornographic pictures and sounds of children and adults and includes scenarios involving authority and power, says Paul Intentich of the Southwest Consulting, a firm that the state pays to conduct the test. The PM's use in criminal trials is barred. However, listen to this, maintains that the machine aids probation officers and therapists in identifying areas where an offender might start thinking improperly about sex, which can lead to criminal behavior. As a result of the test, some offenders have been given olfactory aversion treatment made to associate unpleasant smells with their sexual thoughts. Anybody seen Clockwork Orange? Now, I know vaguely how this machine works. What they do is they put a little cuff around your penis, and it measures the blood flow in your penis, and they show you pictures. And if you get aroused, if the blood flow to your penis increases, then they decide that you are a pervert, depending on what the picture is. So they show you a picture of a little 8-year-old girl, and your blood flow to your dick increases, then you're a child molester. The fact that we do this to people is frightening enough. But then, that we actually utilize unpleasant smells to try to condition them. I mean, we're conditioning people the same way. If you did this to an animal, the animal rights wackos would come out of the fucking woodwork. But when we do this to people, it's okay. Because you see, that's freedom. That's what we call rehabilitation. And Okay, Randy is saying, what then should we do with people who are child molesters? Well, right? Okay, she's saying this is a I can't talk. I need another beer. I can't talk. This is a rehabilitation technique. And she's saying, do I have a better alternative to offer? Yes, I do. I do have a better alternative to answer. The first part is we sort out real sex offenders, like Chadwick, a 45-year-old who fucks his 15-year-old daughter, from people who are performing perfectly normal behavior, like Megginson grabbing his crotch and telling some women who are probably stupid little bimbos who are liberals that they should fuck off. First thing we do is you separate real sex offenders from political sex offenders. Once we have the real sex offenders separated, we take a gun and we shoot them in the fucking head. Now, I already know you. Now go ahead and ask your question. Yes. Randy's question is, so it's wrong to attempt to recondition a sex offender, but it's okay to simply kill them. Well, you're asking me now a moral judgment on my own personal moral, absolutely. To attempt to recondition somebody against their will. Now, if the sex offender says, I'm willing to undergo this treatment, I'm willing to have you do these things to recondition me, blah, blah, blah. If they're willing to do that on their own free volition, absolutely. I have no problem with that. That is human freedom. That is the cornerstone of libertarianism. But if they say no, if they outright say, I'm not going to try to change, whatever, if it becomes necessary, and I'm talking about repeat offenders here. I'm not talking about, well, you know, these things are always iffy, because unlike Republicans and Democrats, I of course know that circumstances matter. I think there are three circumstances. There are circumstances where the person can say, I will participate in this attempt to condition me, because let's not kid ourselves, it is mental conditioning. It's brainwashing of a sort. You can have people who would not undergo conditioning but attempt to change and might very well do it. And you have people who simply are going to refuse to change and are going to be repeat offenders. The repeat offenders should be shot in the head. The other people, I'm perfectly fine with giving them a chance. That's my solution. You may not like it, but as always, I don't really give a fuck what any of you out there like. Why? Exactly. Because I am right and you are wrong. So anyway, Derek Meganson, it's saying here, he is a convicted sex offender because he grabbed his crotch. He says, quote, I don't even want to get a speeding ticket. I'd rather just stay home all day and not risk anything, unquote. He says his life has come crashing down since his conviction last summer, the result of a plea bargain. He can't get an apartment because he can't find a landlord willing to rent to a sex offender. He worries he will be outed once he gets into college and that afterward his chances of getting a job will be reduced. Quote, I'm not a dangerous, violent person, although this list makes me out to be one, unquote. For the next 3 years, Meganson must register his whereabouts with the state. So because this guy, this 19-year-old kid, grabbed his crotch and said, suck my dick, his life is essentially ruined, especially in a fucked up society like ours, where if you become labeled as a sex offender, that label is going to follow you for the rest of your life, thanks to all of the databases we have and the national ID card system. By the way, for those of you who are too stupid to have figured it out, we have a national ID card. It's called your driver's license. That's why the federal government... I went to get my new driver's license recently. I had to get fingerprinted. I was pissed. If you're in Colorado and you don't know this yet, you have to give a fingerprint for your driver's license now. If I'd have known that in advance, I'd have researched to find out if I could get out of it. I was pissed. But this is the disadvantage of living in our database fascist society where we have national ID cards, where we have national identification numbers, where every place you go, everybody can track you and find out anything and everything about you. And thank you, liberal Democrats, for helping to make the dream of the Social Security number come true. Because, God, without that national ID number, it would be harder for the fascist government to enforce fascist penalties. But this 19-year-old kid, he's a sex offender for the next 3 years at least, and it's going to follow him for the rest of his life because he grabbed his crotch, and because you little fucking liberals and you pansies and you little fuckers out there who think your feelings are so, oh, he took those little girls' feelings, oh, he's such a mean person, he's a sex offender, fuck you people all. And of course, you are the same people who claim you believe in freedom of speech. It kills me. This is fun. I like... This is a great letter. I'm going to try to read this letter without... What is this? Oh, God. Now, I flipped the page and looked ahead. It's feminism. Political feminism. Philosophical feminism, I agree with on many accounts. But political feminism, oh, God. Hold on. How are we on time? Okay, we're good. Let me read this letter and try not to interrupt it, because this letter pretty much stands on its own. Smoking as a service. As a lifelong cigarette smoker, I want to thank the people of the city of Fort Collins for voting in the recent tax increase on cigarette purchases. The idea of exploiting the consumer choices held by a minority populace into a method of raising money for the community was brilliant. Once, I felt bad about smoking. I knew it was bad for my health, and I've always tried to be considerate about secondary smoke because I believe it is obnoxious. Smoking was never something I was proud of, and I considered quitting often. Now that smoking is serving our community through extra taxation, I no longer need to feel so ashamed of this vice. What used to be idle time on my front porch is now a form of community service. If more people smoked cigarettes in Fort Collins, we'd have a wealthier city. If you love Fort Collins like I do, you too should consider smoking cigarettes, or smoking even more cigarettes to show your support. Now that the campaigning is over, there's a new opinion found in the quiet of post-politics and based on my new sense of pride. I think we should also consider taxing saturated fats. The benefits of taxing French fries would be even better than taxing cigarettes, and they are equally bad to the health of the community. I won't go into the correlations of secondary smoke, offending smell, and obesity offending vision. It's simply too cruel. Rather, I'd like to give the foolish habit of bad dieting the same opportunity for pride that I have found through cigarette taxes. Important disclaimer. Smoking, excessive taxation, and hypocrisy are all bad for the health. Forget carbon monoxide from minivans. Here comes the fluoride. This gentleman's name is Robert Rehor. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. R-E-H-O-R. Now, there's some cynicism that I can admire. On the rare occasions when I do still light up a cigarette, and I do still light up a cigarette. I haven't had a cigar in a while. I'm also out of pipe tobacco. I need to pick some up sometime soon. On the rare occasions when I do light up a cigarette nowadays, I feel the pride that Robert feels. Because we are truly doing great things for the Fort Collins community. What is this? Yeah. You know, I think I can skip that one. There's Robert. Sin City Music Review. Sin City. Oh, that's who that. Sorry, folks. I'm having a personal moment here. You'll have to bear with me for I just saw a picture of somebody in the Bullhorn that I know, and I just now figured out. Well, I've seen her in person. I kept thinking I know her from somewhere, and now I know where I know her from. Randy. What was I talking about before I went tromping off on my little... Okay. Well, never mind then. Because Randy is indicating we are almost out of time. Oh, good. I'm glad I didn't go into that. Coming up next, we're going to talk about taking back the night. We're going to talk about feminazism. We're going to talk about femisimps. For those of you who don't know what a femisimp is, a femisimp is a feminist sympathizer. That is a man who sympathizes with the feminazis, usually because either they're pussy-whipped or because a lot of men seem to think that if you pretend to be a feminist and kiss up to women that they'll have sex with you. And I don't think that's true. I haven't seen a whole lot of feminists getting laid. It always reminds me of Eleanor. Was it Eleanor Schmiel or was it Molly Yard? The president of the Now Gang, one of the past presidents of the Now Gang, who had that little pussy-whipped husband who just kind of followed her around and stood meekly by as she stood there talking about how all men are racist, sexist, homophobic, hate-mongers. Yet, amazingly enough, we're also all-powerful and control the entire planet. And, you would think, think about this. If you're a woman and you're saying that, on one hand, men have destroyed entire populations and men rule the world, and white men are all these other evil things, then you turn around and you call us names. If we really were capable of doing all those things that we're accused of doing, would you really want to piss us off? I'm thinking not. Are you stupid?